At my father's funeral, my wife stepped outside for fresh air. Following to check on her, I heard her laughing. The old bastard finally croaked. His idiot son is too grief-stricken to notice I've been draining his accounts. Once we sell his dad's business, I'm gone with everything. I smiled and returned inside, playing the grieving husband perfectly. My revenge would be spectacular. 8 days later, she called me 47 times in pure panic. All right, so I'm not even sure how to start this. I'm typing on my phone in the garage because I can't sleep and I'm still pissed. Like actually shaking a little. This gets buried, whatever. I just need to get it out. If you're reading this and you think I'm making it up, I get it. I wouldn't believe it either. But this is real and I'm not even close to done with it. So yeah, my dad died last week. Cancer, long and ugly. Not going to get into it. I'm not going to pretend we were best friends or anything, but he was my dad and he was always there, even when he was a pain. I'm an only kid, so it was just me and him for a while after my mom left. He remarried later, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway, funeral was last Friday, and it was the usual mess. People I barely know hugging me. My Aunt Maureen crying so hard she had to sit down. My cousin Rayon trying to make jokes that weren't funny just to fill the air. I was running on like 3 hours of sleep and too much coffee, just trying to get through it. My wife Leah was there, obviously. We've been together almost 6 years, married for 4. She's always been, I don't know, complicated. She's not the type to cry in public, and she never really got along with my dad. She said he was too old school, too controlling, and honestly, he could be. But she always acted polite around him, at least when other people were watching. Lately though, she's been weird. Cold, distracted, always on her phone, but I figured it was just stress. She's been pushing me to sell my dad's business since he got sick, saying it's too much for me, that we should just take the money and start over somewhere else. I thought she was just worried about me burning out, but now I know better. So, the funeral, I'm standing there listening to the priest drone on, and I notice Leah keeps checking her phone, not like once or twice, but every couple minutes. She's got this look on her face like she's bored or annoyed. Not sad. I try to ignore it, but it's bugging me. After the service, people are milling around, and I'm talking to Maureen about the food. She's obsessed with the catering. And I see Leah slip out the side door. She doesn't say anything, just grabs her bag and goes. I figure maybe she needs air or she's crying and doesn't want anyone to see. I wait a minute, then follow her out because I'm worried she's going to bail and leave me to deal with everyone. I get outside and she's not on the steps, so I walk around the corner and I hear her voice. She's on the phone, but she's not crying. She's laughing, like actually laughing, and it's not the nervous kind. I stop because it's weird. And I hear her say something about the old bastard finally croaked and how his idiot son is too grief-stricken to notice I've been draining his accounts. I swear to God, I thought I misheard her. I just stood there listening and she keeps going saying once we sell the business, she's gone with everything. She's talking to someone. I don't know who, but she's not even trying to whisper. I just stood there like an idiot listening to my wife talk about me like I'm some loser she's been stringing along. I don't even know how long I stood there, but at some point she hangs up and starts walking back. So, I duck behind the corner and pretend I'm just coming out for air too. She sees me and acts all surprised, asks if I'm okay, and I just nod. I don't say anything because I don't trust myself not to lose it right there in the parking lot. She puts her hand on my arm and says, "We should go back in." And I let her lead me because I need time to think. Inside, everyone's still talking and I just go through the motions. People keep coming up to me saying how sorry they are, and I just nod and thank them. Leah is right next to me, acting like the perfect wife, hugging my aunt, helping with the food, all that. I keep looking at her, trying to figure out if I'm crazy, if I imagined it, but I know what I heard. I keep replaying it in my head, and every time I do, I get angrier. Like, I'm not even sad anymore, just pissed. I start noticing little things like how she keeps checking her phone, how she's texting someone under the table, how she keeps asking me if I've talked to the lawyer about the business yet. She's not even subtle. I go to the bathroom and just sit there for a while scrolling through my phone trying to calm down. I check my bank app and sure enough, there's money missing from our joint account. Not a ton, but enough that I notice. I check the credit card and there's a bunch of charges I don't recognize. I start to feel sick, but I can't do anything right then, so I just splash water on my face and go back out. Leia is talking to my cousin, laughing at something he said, and she looks at me like nothing's wrong. The rest of the day is a blur. People leave. We go home. And Leia acts like everything's normal. She makes dinner, asks if I want to watch something, but I say I'm tired and go to bed early. I lie there for hours just staring at the ceiling thinking about what I heard. I start making a list in my head of all the times she's been weird about money, all the times she's pushed me to sell the business, all the times she's gone out with friends and come back late. It all starts to add up and I realize I've been an idiot. The next morning, I get up early and start going through our accounts. I find more missing money, more weird charges, and a bunch of transfers to an account I don't recognize. I don't say anything to Leia, just act normal. But inside, I'm boiling. I start thinking about what to do, how to get back at her, how to make her pay for what she's done. I'm not the type to just roll over and take it. And I'm definitely not going to let her walk away with everything my dad worked for. I start making a plan. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet, but I know I'm not going to let her win. I start changing passwords, moving money, making calls. I act like everything's fine, but every time I look at her, I feel like I'm going to snap. She keeps acting like nothing's wrong, but I can see she's getting nervous. She keeps asking if I'm okay, if I need anything, if I've talked to the lawyer yet. I just tell her I'm handling it, and she backs off. I'm not going to confront her yet. I want her to think she's still in control, that I'm still clueless. I want her to get comfortable, to make mistakes. I want her to feel safe so when I finally hit back it hurts. I want her to know exactly what it feels like to be blindsided, to have everything you thought you had ripped away. I want her to remember this for the rest of her life. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm not looking for advice. I just needed to get this out. I know what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to stop until she's got nothing left. If you think I'm being harsh, you didn't hear what I heard. You didn't see the look on her face when she thought no one was watching. I'm done being the idiot son. I'm done letting people walk all over me. Next part's going to be wild. Trust me, I'm just getting started. Update 1. Alright, so here's part 2. Since a bunch of people messaged me, and honestly, I'm still running on like 4 hours of sleep and too much caffeine. I'm not even sure what day it is anymore. Everything's just a blur of people texting me about the funeral, Leia acting weird, and me trying not to lose it. If you missed the first post, long story short, my wife, Leia, basically told someone on the phone at my dad's funeral that she's been draining my accounts and is planning to bounce with everything after we sell my dad's business. I heard the whole thing. I didn't say anything. I just went back inside and started plotting. So, the days after the funeral were honestly the most awkward I've ever felt in my own house. Like, I'd walk into the kitchen and Leia would be there scrolling on her phone acting like nothing happened, asking if I wanted eggs or whatever. I'd just say, sure, thanks, and watch her out of the corner of my eye. She kept asking if I'd called the lawyer yet, if I'd started the paperwork to sell the business, if I'd checked the mail for anything from the bank. She was pushing but trying to sound casual. I started answering with stuff like, yeah, I'll get to it. Or, I'm just not ready yet. And she'd get this look like she was annoyed but trying to hide it. I started noticing more little things. She'd leave her phone face down on the table every time I walked in. She started locking the bathroom door when she was in there, which she never used to do. She started going out for walks at weird times, like right after dinner, and she'd come back all jumpy if I asked where she went. I started checking our accounts every morning before she woke up. More money missing, more weird transfers, and a couple new credit cards I didn't even know we had. I started taking screenshots of everything, emailing them to myself just in case. I didn't want to tip her off, so I started acting extra normal. I'd ask her if she wanted to watch something or if she wanted to order takeout just to keep her thinking I was still clueless. I even let her pick the movie one night, which I never do, and she picked some rom-com that I hate. I just sat there scrolling on my phone, pretending to laugh at the dumb jokes. She kept glancing at me like she was trying to figure out if I knew something. I just smiled and asked if she wanted popcorn. The next day, I called Maureen, my dad's sister. She's always been the one who actually cared about the family stuff, and she's the only one who knows how much the business meant to my dad. I told her I wanted to keep it in the family, at least for now, and she was all for it. She said she'd help with the paperwork and talk to the lawyer for me since she knows I'm not great with that stuff. I didn't tell her about Leia yet, just said I wanted to make sure everything was done right. Maureen's not stupid. She knows Leia never liked my dad, but she's not the type to start drama unless she has to. I started changing passwords on everything. Bank accounts, email, even the stupid streaming services. I didn't lock Leia out yet, just changed the recovery info so she couldn't reset anything without me knowing. I moved some money into a new account with just my name on it and set up alerts for any big withdrawals. I started keeping my wallet and keys in my pocket at all times, even at home. I know it sounds paranoid, but after what I heard, I wasn't taking any chances. One night, Leia came home late from dinner with Jill. She smelled like wine and was in a weird mood. All chatty and fake nice. She started asking about the business again, saying stuff like, maybe it's time to let go. Maybe we should just take the money and move somewhere warm, start over. I just nodded and said I'd think about it. She got annoyed, started raising her voice, saying I was being selfish, that my dad would want me to move on. I told her I wasn't ready, and she slammed the bedroom door. I just sat on the couch and waited for her to fall asleep before I went in. The next morning, I checked the accounts again. Another transfer, this time to a name I didn't recognize. I Googled it. Nothing came up. I started to get this feeling that she was moving money to someone else. Maybe the person she was talking to at the funeral. I started making a list of every weird thing she'd done in the last month. Late nights out, new clothes, random Amazon packages showing up, her suddenly caring about the business when she never did before. It all started to make sense. I started talking to Ramon, my cousin, about the business. He's not super close to Leia and he's always been a little suspicious of her. I told him I wanted to keep things in the family and he said he'd back me up if anyone tried to push me to sell. He said he'd heard Leia talking to someone at the funeral about big changes coming, but he didn't know what she meant. I just told him to keep an eye out and let me know if she said anything else. Leia started getting more aggressive. She'd ask me every day if I'd called the lawyer, if I'd set up the sale, if I'd talked to Maureen. I kept telling her I was working on it, but I needed time. She started getting snappy, saying I was dragging my feet, that I was letting my dad's memory hold me back. One night, she actually pushed me when I said I wasn't ready to sell. Not hard, but enough to make her point. I just stared at her and said, I'll do it when I'm ready. She stormed out and didn't come back for 2 hours. I started recording our conversations just in case. I know it sounds extreme, but I didn't trust her not to try something. I started keeping my phone on me at all times, even in the shower. I started locking the bedroom door when I was in there alone. I started sleeping with one eye open, waiting for her to make a move. One day, I caught her going through my desk drawer. She said she was looking for stamps, but I know she was looking for paperwork. I told her to stay out of my stuff, and she got defensive, saying I was being paranoid. I just shrugged and said, maybe I am. She rolled her eyes and walked out, slamming the door behind her. I started talking to the lawyer myself just to make sure everything was in order. I told him I wanted to keep the business in my name only, at least for now. And he said that was fine. I didn't tell him about Leia yet, just said I wanted to make sure everything was protected. He said he'd draw up the paperwork and let me know when it was ready. Leia started getting desperate. She started texting me during the day, asking if I'd heard from the lawyer, if I'd gotten any offers on the business, if I'd checked the mail. I started ignoring her texts just to see what she'd do. She started calling me at work, leaving voicemails saying she was worried about me, that she just wanted to help. I didn't call her back. One night, she cornered me in the kitchen and started yelling, saying I was shutting her out, that I was hiding things from her. I told her I was just trying to figure things out. And she slapped me, not hard, but enough to piss me off. I just stared at her and said, "Don't ever do that again." She backed off, but I could tell she was scared. She knew something was up, but she didn't know what. I started moving more money into my new account, just a little at a time, so she wouldn't notice. I started keeping all the important paperwork at Maureen's house just in case. I started telling people that Leia was having a hard time with the funeral, that she needed space. I wanted everyone to think she was just grieving, not scheming. The whole time, I kept acting normal. I'd make dinner, watch TV, go for walks, just like always. But inside, I was counting down the days until I could finally pull the trigger. I wanted her to feel safe, to think she'd won. I wanted her to get comfortable so when I finally hit back, it would hurt. I know some people are going to say I should have just confronted her, but that's not me. I wanted her to feel what I felt. I wanted her to know what it's like to have everything you thought you had ripped away. I wanted her to remember this for the rest of her life. So yeah, that's where I'm at. The trap's set. She has no idea what's coming. Next part's going to be wild. Trust me, I'm just getting started. Update 2. So yeah, here's part 3. I'm still running on fumes, but I'm not letting up. If you've been following, you know my wife Leia basically told someone at my dad's funeral she's been draining my accounts and is planning to bounce after we sell the business. I heard it all. I've been playing dumb, setting up my own moves, and now it's time to really start pushing back. If you think I'm being dramatic, you don't know Leia. She's not dumb. She's just always thought she was smarter than everyone else, especially me. She's always had this thing about my family, like she never fit in. Like she was owed something for putting up with my dad's attitude and all the family drama. I used to think she just wanted to be included, but nah, she wanted control. So, after I started moving money and locking down accounts, I noticed Leia started acting even weirder. She'd get up early, like before me, which she never does, and start making coffee and acting all chipper. She'd ask if I wanted to go for a walk, which is not her thing at all. I'd say sure and she'd start talking about how we should just sell everything and move somewhere new like it was a fresh start. I'd just nod and say maybe. But inside I was just counting down. I started telling her the business was in trouble. I said I'd talked to Morin and there were some debts, some stuff my dad never told me about and that it might not be worth as much as we thought. She got real quiet then started asking for details. I just shrugged and said I didn't know yet, but I'd figure it out. She started texting more, like all the time, and I caught her on the phone late at night whispering in the bathroom. I didn't even bother trying to listen in. I already knew what she was up to. I started making her help with paperwork. I'd hand her a stack of stuff, and say I needed her to look for certain forms, but I'd mix in a bunch of random junk just to see if she'd actually read any of it. She never did. She'd just flip through, say she didn't see anything, and go back to scrolling on her phone. I started leaving fake notes around like reminders to call the bank or check on a wire transfer just to see if she'd ask about it. She did every time and I'd just say it was nothing. One night, she came at me in the kitchen saying I was dragging my feet, that I was letting my dad's memory ruin our future, that I was being selfish. I told her I was doing my best and she shoved me. Not hard, but enough to make her point. I just stared at her and said, "You need to chill." She stormed off and slammed the bedroom door. I just sat at the table and scrolled through my phone, texting Morin about the paperwork. The next day, I started moving more money. I set up a new account just in my name and started transferring small amounts every day. I changed the passwords on everything, even the Wi-Fi. I started getting texts from Leia saying her cards weren't working, asking if I'd paid the bills. I just said, "Yeah, must be a glitch. I'll check it out." She started getting more and more pissed, slamming doors, yelling at me for not caring about our future. I just kept saying I was working on it. I started spending more time at the office just to get away from her. I'd tell her I had meetings, but really I was just sitting in the parking lot scrolling through my phone, trying to figure out my next move. I started talking to Rayon more, telling him I was thinking about keeping the business, that I didn't trust Leia to handle it. He said he'd back me up, but he also said I needed to be careful, that Leia was acting weird around him, too, asking questions about money and who owned what. Leia started calling my friends, asking if I was okay, if I was acting weird. One of them texted me and said she was fishing for info, asking if I'd talked about selling the business or moving away. I told him to just say he didn't know anything, and he said he would. I started telling people that Leia was having a hard time with the funeral, that she needed space just to get ahead of whatever story she was trying to spin. One night, she came home late smelling like wine and started yelling at me about the bills. She said her card got declined at the store, that she was embarrassed, that I was making her look stupid. I told her I'd check on it in the morning, and she slapped me. This time it was harder. I just stared at her and said, "You need to stop." She started crying, saying I was ruining everything, that I was shutting her out. I just walked out and sat in the car for an hour scrolling through Reddit and trying to calm down. The next morning, I started moving the last of the money. I called the lawyer and told him to put everything in my name, just for now, and he said he'd take care of it. I started packing up some of my stuff just in case. I started keeping my phone on me at all times, even when I was in the shower. I started locking the bedroom door when I was in there alone. Leia started getting desperate. She started texting me nonstop asking if I'd heard from the lawyer, if I'd gotten any offers on the business, if I'd checked the mail. I started ignoring her texts just to see what she'd do. She started calling me at work, leaving voicemails saying she was worried about me, that she just wanted to help. I didn't call her back. One night, she cornered me in the kitchen and started yelling, saying I was shutting her out, that I was hiding things from her. I told her I was just trying to figure things out, and she slapped me. Not hard, but enough to piss me off. I just stared at her and said, "Don't ever do that again." She backed off, but I could tell she was scared. She knew something was up, but she didn't know what. I started moving more money into my new account, just a little at a time so she wouldn't notice. I started keeping all the important paperwork at Morin's house just in case. I started telling people that Leia was having a hard time with the funeral, that she needed space. I wanted everyone to think she was just grieving, not scheming. The whole time I kept acting normal. I'd make dinner, watch TV, go for walks, just like always. But inside, I was counting down the days until I could finally pull the trigger. I wanted her to feel safe, to think she'd won. I wanted her to get comfortable so when I finally hit back, it would hurt. I know some people are going to say I should have just confronted her, but that's not me. I wanted her to feel what I felt. I wanted her to know what it's like to have everything you thought you had ripped away. I wanted her to remember this for the rest of her life. So yeah, that's where I'm at. The trap's set. She has no idea what's coming. Next part's going to be wild. Trust me, I'm just getting started. Final update. So here's the last part. And honestly, I'm still kind of buzzing from how it all went down. If you've read the other posts, you know the deal. My wife, Leia, basically told someone at my dad's funeral she was draining my accounts and planning to bounce after we sold the business. I played along, set the trap, and started turning the screws. I said I'd make her feel it, and I did. It got ugly, but I don't regret a thing. So, the weirdest thing was how normal everything looked from the outside. Like, we were still doing the usual grocery runs, arguing about what to watch, her pretending to care about my day. But under the surface, it was all fake. I was moving money, changing passwords, getting everything in my name, and she was getting more and more desperate. She started leaving her phone out like she wanted me to see her texting, but I just ignored it. She started asking if I wanted to go out for dinner, which she never does unless she wants something. I just said I was tired or I had stuff to do for the business. The real shift happened about a week after the funeral. I'd already moved most of the money, locked down the business, and made sure all the paperwork was at Morin's place. I'd even started sleeping in the guest room, telling Leia I couldn't sleep, which wasn't a lie. She started getting up in the middle of the night, pacing around, opening and closing drawers like she was looking for something. I just lay there listening, waiting. Then one morning, she tried to use her card at the store and it got declined. She came home pissed, slamming the door, throwing her bag on the table. She started yelling at me, saying I was sabotaging her, that I was making her look stupid. I just shrugged and said, "Maybe you should check your balance." She got in my face, shoved me, and said I was ruining everything. I told her to back off, and she stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. That was the start. Over the next couple days, she got more frantic. She started calling the bank, yelling at them, demanding to know why her accounts were frozen. She started texting me nonstop, asking if I'd done something, if I was hiding money. I just kept saying, I didn't know. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe you should call customer service. She started calling Morin, asking if she knew anything, but Morin just said she didn't know and hung up. Leia started calling my cousin Ramon, asking if he'd heard anything about the business, but he just told her to talk to me. Then came the day she called me 47 times. I was at Morin's going over the last of the paperwork and my phone just kept buzzing. Call after call, voicemail after voicemail. All of them her getting more and more desperate. First it was, "Call me back. I need to talk to you." Then it was, "I know you're hiding something. You need to answer me." Then it was, "If you don't call me back, I'm leaving." I just put my phone on silent and kept working. When I finally went home, she was waiting for me in the kitchen. Arms crossed, eyes red. She started yelling as soon as I walked in, saying I'd ruined her life, that I was a liar, that I'd stolen from her. I just stood there, let her get it all out, then told her I knew everything. I told her I heard her at the funeral, that I knew about the money, the calls, the plan to leave me as soon as the business sold. She went pale, then tried to deny it, but I just laughed. I told her she was done, that she had nothing left, that she could pack her stuff and get out. She tried to slap me, but I caught her wrist and told her to stop. She started crying, saying she had nowhere to go, that she didn't mean it, that she was just angry at my dad for never accepting her. I told her that wasn't my problem anymore. I said she had a week to get her stuff and leave, and that if she tried anything, I'd make sure everyone knew what she did. She tried to push past me, but I blocked the door. She slammed her bag on the table and stormed off to the bedroom. The next few days were just her sulking around the house, packing her stuff, making calls. I heard her on the phone with Jill complaining about how I'd screwed her over, how she deserved better, how she was going to take me for everything. I just ignored it. I changed the locks, moved the rest of my stuff to Morin's, and told her when she was gone for good. My friends started texting me saying Leia was telling people I'd lost it after my dad died, that I was paranoid, that I'd cut her off for no reason. I just sent them the screenshots of the transfers, the texts, the voicemails. Most of them believed me, a couple didn't, but I didn't care. I wasn't doing this for them. The day she finally left, she tried one last time to get in my face, saying I'd regret it, that I'd never find anyone better, that I was just like my dad. I just told her to leave the keys and go. She threw them at me and slammed the door. I watched her drive off and just stood there for a minute, not really feeling anything. Just done. So yeah, that's it. I kept the business, kept the house, kept my dad's stuff. Leia's gone, and I haven't heard from her since, except for a couple texts asking for money, which I ignored. I'm not going to pretend I'm over it or that I'm some hero. I'm just glad I didn't let her win. I know some people are going to say I should have tried to work it out, but nah, she made her choice and I made mine. If you're reading this and you think I went too far, what can I tell you? You didn't hear what I heard. You didn't see the look on her face when she thought she'd won. I'm not sorry. I'm just done. Thanks for reading, I guess. I don't know what's next, but at least it's mine. Welcome to Hidden Lies, where we uncover the darkest truths people try to bury. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Drop a comment below. Have you ever uncovered a betrayal like this? Share your thoughts. See you in the next one.